This is the area we are watching very closely. We can get the pointer out here and point to what we are looking at when you get some of these colors right here. These brighter greens next to the reds. That is the potential tornadic circulation. If you're in the Hardeeville area, you should be taking your tornado precaution. And very soon, have they given any indication? This expires at 8 p.m. You think they'll be extending this?
They haven't mentioned anything about extending it just yet, but still talking about those very strong winds associated with this storm. And there hasn't been any update yet about that tornado warning. All
right, and then let's go in here and show everyone sort of the loop and where this is moving.
We just got another update. They've issued the tornado warning, tornado observed for Effingham, Beaufort, Jasper till 8:15 now. Okay,
brand new tornado warning. We gave you the lead time on this. We showed you if this would hold together, and it looks like it is, that Beaufort area would be into the tornado warning. So this part of Beaufort County, it does include parts of Hilton Head Island, also Jasper County right now, an extension, so the rest of that area east of I-95 is included within the tornado warning. We'll go down and take a little bit closer inspection. What is the movement right now?
It's moving east at 45 miles per hour.
Okay, east, it's a pretty quick moving storm. So this is not going to be in any one location for very long. So don't go outside and look for it. We think if there is a tornado, probably rain wrapped, and we'll do a little more analysis because now that we have the new warning issued, you said 45 miles per hour?
45.
Okay. Let's go in here and track this and give you an idea of the circulation that is within that warning at 45 miles per hour. That will take this in this general vicinity right here. Hardeeville, pretty much on top of you right now. Take your tornado precaution. Turn the TV way up, or make sure you have the WJCL 22 News app, and we live stream our severe weather coverage because your safety comes first before anything else. Bailey's Landing, 8:08 p.m. That's when this is forecast to be in your area, that potential tornadic circulation. If this holds together, so see, this goes into Beaufort County, but Beaufort City itself, maybe just outside of it, but you have to prepare now. It's a quick moving storm. Northern end of Hilton Head Island, you draw that line up here, and you're probably looking at about between 8:17 and 8:20, somewhere in that area. But even if you don't have that potential tornadic circulation move overhead, this line of thunderstorms is producing a tremendous amount of wind. So we are looking that there could be some wind damage across the area, winds 60 plus miles per hour. We have lots of severe thunderstorm warnings as well, but it's that circulation right now in this area exiting Effingham County, headed right now into Jasper County that we are most concerned about. And if you're anywhere within these red lines, you need to be taking your tornado precautions. So the warning right now, we'll likely be seeing these lines here in about 5 minutes. Those will disappear because the new warning that goes until 8:15 has taken its place that extends the rest of Jasper County and then into Beaufort County. Let's take another x-ray of the storm. This is always great to do. Gives us a little advantage, an analysis here to show, yeah, there is definitely still some circulation. Might not be quite as tight as what we were looking at earlier. And this is a camera that I can move, so I'm going to actually take a look here. This is the Hardeeville camera right along Highway 278. And I'm going to tilt it up a little bit more so we can see the sky, and I'm going to turn it. We're watching, there it is, kind of that shelf cloud on the leading edge. Pan around here, and we're going to keep it in this general direction over here because we'll have a good view of if the trees sort of start whipping around down on the bottom part of your screen. Some of the palms, also, those will be moving around, but right now you're looking at that, what's very likely that shelf cloud on the leading edge of that thunderstorm. So if you're in the Hardeeville area, you're seeing just those nasty looking skies right now. And also near Hardeeville or just north of there, that's where the circulation is at right now that has prompted the extension of the tornado warning. So right now, our velocity, the x-ray of the storm, showing those circulating winds that are either over or maybe a little bit to the east of the Hardeeville area. So that's the thunderstorm. That's Hardeeville you're looking at on the left-hand side of your screen right along Highway 278. So we're going to keep very close tabs on that because that circulation is almost to our camera right now. Any more updates or confirmation of the tornado? And again, if you want to, in the back, if you want to keep that camera up, that would be fantastic. If we want to keep the double box up, that works for me. We want to give the visuals as that storm rolls in to Hardeeville and just east of there. So right there, that's the leading edge of the winds. If that camera is still up, hopefully we can get that double box back up. Be able to watch that storm as it moves in. There we go. We've also noticed quite a bit of lightning with this right now. So on the left-hand side, you're looking at along Highway 278. That's in the Hardeeville area. Right here is the radar. And the worst of this, give it another 5 or 10 minutes, will very likely be past the Hardeeville area. Notice how Springfield, you're no longer in a tornado warning, so it's all clear. Doesn't really change what went through there earlier, but if you're in your tornado shelter, the tornadic winds are past your area. You could still see some stronger winds move through with that line that's behind you. And speaking of that line, I think we need to just back the view out here really quickly to show you what's going on. We'll put our warnings on and give everyone an update. This will point to some of the activity that we have. Tornado warning right now till 8:15. These areas of yellow lines, that's a little more stronger potential straight line winds with those severe thunderstorm warnings that go all the way from parts of Tattnall, Long, Liberty County, and then go all the way up here into Screven and a little bit of northern areas of Effingham County. So that's what we're really dialed into right now, is watching this line as it progresses its way off to the mainly almost due easterly direction right now. So let's get back to that potential tornado that we have. We've had a confirmation of that. We don't know this second if it is still on the ground or if it's just some rotating winds within this line right now. But it is something we're watching closely. And on the left-hand side of your screen, I'm going to go probably move that camera because that tree line right there that's blocking the horizon, once we turn it a little bit, you'll be able to see more of a clear opening of the horizon. But we're going to leave it there for this second because once that storm tracks its way a little bit more to the east, we're going to get an awesome, pretty awesome view looking up at that. But wow, that is a threatening looking sky there. And Hardeeville, you're in a tornado warning right now. Bluffton, you're on the edge of it. Parts of Bluffton are in the tornado warning. Either way, if you're in the warning or not, you're going to see just some strong winds, very heavy rain. And look at that rain by those lights. That's basically sideways rain. Can we take that camera full for 1 second? If that's possible back there, Ryan. If we can just show everyone sort of that wide view of the Hardeeville area right along Highway 278. Wow, look at that. That area is in the tornado warning right now. Wow. Look at some of the winds right now. It is just whipping around. Whoa. All right, so we don't know if those are the straight line winds or the potential circulation in that area right now. Those all kind of look to be going in the same direction. But look at that wind right now just rushing its way across Highway 278, a severe thunderstorm. Don't go outside. Don't try to look for this storm because this area, there is a tornado warning right now. So let's keep this up on the left-hand side of the screen, and hopefully we can get the radar back up, and we'll keep everyone updated on sort of the progress or timeline of this potentially tornadic supercell thunderstorm right now. Just a lot of wind with it, and we really think if there's a tornado, which there's been confirmation earlier when it was in Effingham County, and now that it's into Jasper County, we obviously know there's a ton of wind with it right now, lots of heavy rain, but embedded within the circulation, is there some sort of tornado that is on the ground right now? That's something, a little bit of a wild card. The tornado warning right there until 8:15, so another coming up on 14 minutes. And then behind it, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning, and that will go until 8:45. So as we look out there right now, I'm going to turn that camera just a little bit. Almost looks like we're starting to I don't have the photo with me right now, but seeing a photo from, I believe it was in Effingham County, of that possible tornado just a little bit earlier. So again, the National Weather Service did say there was a confirmed tornado. And Catherine, can you go over some of those reports once again, the confirmation?
Absolutely. So the National Weather Service is working through those storm reports right now. They haven't had any reports of building damage at this point, but they did have a spotter report of that tornado along Highway 21 earlier today, earlier this evening. But there was at 7:56, they had issued that they had extended that tornado warning, talking about an observed tornado moving east at 45 miles per hour. Now they have just continued that tornado warning. They have canceled the tornado warning for Effingham County, but they have continued that until it says 8:15 still. And they're talking about the low level circulation is beginning to unwind. So.
Okay, so they're saying that some of the the velocities are maybe more straight line winds versus circulating winds with this? Okay.
Correct. So they are looking at it right now to see how that low level circulation is deteriorating at the moment.
Okay, so when we talk about the low level circulation, what we're looking at right here is that X-ray of the storm, and this may be turning into more like just straight line winds versus earlier we had the red and the green wrapped up into each other very tight. But look at the winds right now in the Hardeeville area. It's very hard without equipment there to guess on a gust, but I mean clearly that has to be, I would say 45, 50 miles per hour at least, you think, Catherine? Or maybe even higher than that?
I would say maybe even higher than that.
Yeah, so along with the tornado warning, there is the threat of winds at least 60 miles per hour or higher with these severe thunderstorms as they blow through. So if you have friends or family that are in the path of this storm, Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, Bluffton, please give them a call quick, text them, say, turn on WJCL 22, because they were the first ones on highlighting this potential for tornadoes in Effingham County. And we're going to stay on the entire time until this tornado warning has been expired and we get the all clear. What you're looking at on the left-hand side of our screen right now is in the Hardeeville area along Highway 278 in the Lowcountry. I know so many of you travel that each and every day. You see the flags there. Right now, there's one at the dealership. There's one across the street. And they are just like straight out right now because of that very strong, what appears to be kind of one direction that the wind is going in there, but we'll be watching this closely. And something with our little X-ray that we're kind of looking at right now is down in this area. This is very close to where our camera is at right now. That is some of the strongest winds we've seen with those bright greens starting to show up. And let's get the radar back up, a little more traditional view for everyone. And that totally makes sense. That is right there where that Boeing segment, it is just blasting its way across Highway 278 right now in Bluffton. I'm guessing once this moves through, we'll probably start to get reports of maybe some tree limbs, branches, or trees down in that area. Also, in our control room, if you have access, I'm sure people are starting to lose power, whether it's in Effingham County, Jasper County, or Beaufort County. Let's try to get people some update on the power situation across our area, because these winds that you're looking at in the Hardeeville area, they picked up probably at least 10 minutes ago, maybe 12 minutes ago, and it's just been sort of a constant blast of wind racing its way across the screen. So we still have the tornado warning. This Boeing segment on 278 and into the Bluffton area right now, that's where some of the strongest, what look like straight line winds are at right now. But let's move this because there's still a little bit of a feature here. It sort of looked like that earlier when we had the confirmed tornado. But this is just, it goes in and you can almost, looks like a little ball back here, that circulation wrapping up and into that. A tremendous amount of rain. And once we do our little inspection once again, let's look at debris, because we would probably see something jump out. not seeing that, so that definitely is good news. And we're really hopeful that wherever the confirmed tornado was a little bit earlier. Okay, just getting some updates in my ear here, so give me a moment. Did you say 8,000 people? Okay, 8,000 people or 8,000 customers without power, and that was in the Effingham County area. And if they have any more updates, certainly they can relay that to Catherine or myself, and we will keep everyone updated. That is just pretty impressive that the winds are still just racing out there. And we're going to back the view out here a little bit because obviously we have the tornado warning, but we also have some other warnings across the area. And if you're in downtown Savannah, let's take our downtown Savannah camera right now if we can. We're still about 25 minutes away from sunset. And I would say right now, there it is. Some of the peak of the winds are approaching downtown Savannah right now. They'll come blasting through with all that rain. Inland areas a little bit, northern areas of Bryan County, you have a severe thunderstorm warning right now. That goes into Evans County. But it's been kind of a wild night here just within about the last 60 to 70 minutes, the last hour or so. We've had a confirmation of a tornado into Effingham County, and we're watching that circulation. It's going to head right into the heart of Beaufort County here. So even if there's no longer a tornado, what we've seen with those winds along Highway 278, that had to be 50+ mile-per-hour winds, and that was pretty constant. That wasn't just a second or two of strong winds. That was a good 10, 12 minutes or so, and it's still pretty windy out there. So that is a lot of wind shifting into the Lowcountry, trailing edge here into Chatham County. Stronger straight-line winds that heading through downtown right now. That will move its way Islands Expressway, Highway 80. If you're in the Whitmarsh or Oatland Island area, prepare right now for some stronger gusty winds. And then that will head out towards Wilmington Island, Tybee Island, down around Isle of Hope. You'll probably get some gusty winds, Montgomery as well. And then behind this, there's more severe weather. That's a severe thunderstorm warning that you're looking at right there within those red lines. So we'll put a few of the warnings on here just to give you a quick little update. The tornado warning, we've mentioned this a lot. That goes another 7 minutes. We'll see if that gets extended all the way through Beaufort County, and then would include areas like Parris Island, Pritchard Island, Hunting Island, some of those locations, or if it gets shifted a little bit more towards the Sheldon area in Beaufort County. But that's the latest severe thunderstorm warning, goes until 8:45. So just think, Savannah, you're getting one round of wind right now. We can hear the rain pouring down here on Chatham Parkway. Behind it, a second pretty impressive line of thunderstorms right now, and that is tracking its way off to the east. So that will be headed eventually towards this I-95 and I-16 corridor. Let's see, we just got an update on the warning.
Yep, a new severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-an-hour winds. It includes Beaufort, Charleston, Colton, and Jasper until 9:15 now.
Okay, so what they're doing is they're going to very likely, unless this circulation, which is still there, tightens up, they're going to take the tornado warning and then just translate it into a severe thunderstorm warning. So we will be staying on the air until at least 8:15. If we are told that the all clear has been given for tornado circulation, certainly we'll get you back to programming, and then we'll really dive into your weather reports, your photos, your videos. You can send them to us on social media. We love to share your content here at WJCL 22 because you're a huge part of our weather story that we tell each and every day. And that story right now is all about this tornado warning. That goes until 8:15. And then bookending it is some stronger straight line winds, which we were showing you on that Hardeeville camera. If we can, maybe we'll hop back to the Hardeeville camera, take a look at downtown. If we can do the double boxes again, that would be great. And that way we can keep everyone up to date on the radar. And I also just saw something down, looked like Evans County, maybe around Claxton. We're going to do a little inspection on that. That might be a new circulation trying to form. And that is how things started off a little bit earlier along that line that was in the Effingham County area and Bullitt County area. So the radar is indicating a little bit of rotation right now to near or just to the north of the Pembroke area. And obviously, I know everyone there still pretty sensitive after what happened last year when we had that just truly destructive tornado go through northern Bryan County. So this is definitely a different setup, but regardless of the setup, if there's a little circulation, we're going to keep you updated here. So let's get right to the radar, and then we'll do a little bit of storm analysis, a little x-ray here. So that's where the rotation indicator showed up. It does not mean there's a tornado, but that gives us a little advanced lead time that there's some sort of circulation within that thunderstorm. That does not look like what we saw in the Bullock, Effingham County, and then Jasper County area a little bit earlier. So we'll just keep we'll keep an eye on that for you. We're going to do the wide view here, update you on the tornado warning.
Yeah. Weather Service is going to allow that tornado warning to expire for Beaufort and Jasper County.
Okay. All right, and as you can see there's the Hardeeville area. So those strong straight line winds, those have moved out. Let's see if we can get downtown Savannah up, and then what we will do is get laser focused on the last couple minutes of this tornado warning that is right over the Beaufort County area. And I don't know if I'd want to be on that cargo ship heading down the Savannah River right now with some of the winds that have been blowing down the river here. We just saw that a few minutes ago, and more gusty winds are behind it, but I hope they make it to the port safely. All right, let's get down here and take a look right now at the tornado warning, and we'll look at the circulation within that, because sometimes these storms will pulse up a little bit, they'll weaken, and then they'll pulse up a little more. There's 2 minutes left. It's 8:13 right now. We have 2 minutes left in this tornado warning. So here's a little bit of circulation left over. I think the main thing, though, is that we just have real strong straight line winds. That severe thunderstorm warning, mentioning some winds possibly around 60 miles per hour, rushing its way towards the coastline. This will come sweeping across Hilton Head Island very shortly. And we'll loop this for you as we start to wrap things up here, unless we get any new reports or a new warning that comes in. This will be headed towards the coastline, and we're going to back the view out here. And about how fast is this moving?
About 45 miles per hour still. And, you know, we are getting a lot of reports in, some of those local storm reports, of trees that have fallen down, not just tree limbs, actual whole trees. And we were talking about earlier, the ground is so saturated from all of that rain that we have had the past couple of days. And now this round of severe weather is just dumping even more rain, and then you have those strong winds that are coming through, and so that's what's going to allow those trees to fall so easily. And then we have those power outages as well. So the National Weather Service actually just canceled the severe thunderstorm warning for Bullock, Effingham, Evans County, so that will be allowed to expire, but still getting lots of reports of trees down, and obviously that's due to all of these very strong winds that are coming in. Yeah, so let's take a look right now. This line, as it progresses east, will be over Hilton Head Island, I would say within the next few minutes. This is saying 8:19. Really depends what part of the island you're on. Defusky Island also heads up for stronger winds. Tybee Island about 8:27, so very close to sunset. And then farther outside of our area, Charleston around 9, and then Isle of Palms at 9:09. So that is that storm. However, behind it, we have a trailing storm that we also want to put a storm track on before we end things here this evening. And notice how that tornado warning just expired. Let's take this storm off to the east around about 40 some. Okay. Here's the track on that one. Hinesville 8:24, Pooler 8:36, Savannah 8:50. So we're not done with the storms yet here in the Savannah area and into the Lowcountry. Bluffton 9:01, and then Hilton Head Island. You're going to see this wind rush through your area, and then potentially that second line of thunderstorms could come tracking through. And don't forget, we have a tornado watch for our area until 10 p.m. So within these circulations, it's still definitely a possibility that we could have a quick spin-up tornado. I just heard we had some video or a photo, one of the two, in the Ebenezer area, and I believe that was into Bullock County. I saw a photo earlier too in the Brooklet area of a very well-defined funnel, very likely a tornado. The National Weather Service will go out and do confirmation of that. But hey, Wyman, do we have the? There it is, right there. So I think what this is
It'd be great if there was video of it, but I almost think that is the shelf cloud or the leading edge of that thunderstorm there. I would need a little more perspective, but what do you think, Catherine? I think that to me, that does not quite look like the funnel or the tornado itself.
Right, it does look like that leading edge. And this is credited to Tommy Hill, I believe.
Okay.
And I mean, it does look very impressive there, I will say.
Yeah, that's why a lot of times we'll get reports of various things, and then we just kind of like to look through it. But we love your photos, your videos, so send them in, let us know your reports. That was very likely, though, close to where that tornadic circulation was at. So we think that was probably the leading edge, but we often term that the scary looking cloud, that shelf cloud as it comes in. It looks ominous, and then what's behind it can be what's severe. So we'll wrap things up here. Let's just put our severe thunderstorm warning on here, and then we will be hopefully done, and hopefully no more tornado warnings this evening. So the warning for Beaufort County that goes all the way down into northern areas of Chatham County, right along Islands Expressway, Highway 80 towards Tybee Island. That is a severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like that was extended down into Chatham County until 9:15. And then 8:45 for this one in here into Bullitt County. Looks like mainly northern Bryan County, northern Liberty County right now, strong straight line winds. And then also our friends down towards Wayne and Pierce County as you have some stronger storms down there. All right, that is the very latest here at WJCL 22, our team weather coverage. Catherine Liberta. I'm WJCL 22 Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson. We are here before, during, after storms, here to guide you through it. Don't forget about our WJCL 22 News app. You can continue to monitor these storms. If there's any more tornado warnings, we'll be the first to let you know.